Let's go ahead and get started. It is 2 minutes after the top of the hour. My name is Carol, and I am a volunteer with SCORE. We are a national group of all volunteer business mentors for people who are either in the startup phase or even pre-concept in business through to exit strategy. We are, all of us are either former business owners or former business managers. So we have a depth of knowledge that just, it's amazing when you think about 10,000 volunteers who've been in their industry for 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. That's a whole lot of knowledge that we can tap into. So we have the free mentoring available. You sign up through our website if you're interested. You go to score.org/Utah. And we have lots of webinars and workshops, some in person, some virtual, as well as at our website. There's lots and lots that are on demand that you can take a look at. Some information about the local chapter, areas we service, north, south, east, and west, with the entire state of Utah, as well as every other state in the country. Our chapter chair is Gail Matthews. Gail is on with us today. She'll say hello at the end of the event. And there's our contact information should you want to get in touch with us. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to introduce you to Sarah Ortiz from Apex Accelerator.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. We're very excited to be partnering with SCORE on this webinar series. As mentioned, my name is Sarah Ortiz, and I am the Apex Regional Manager for Utah County, as well as Wasatch and Juab County in the state of Utah. With me as well, we have Paula Kramer. Paula, if you would like to give a brief introduction.
Hi, everyone, and thank you again for allowing us to participate in this great opportunity to share information. I'm just going to sit back quietly and support Sarah in this event.
All right. With that said, I've shared my screen. Please let me know if you are all seeing this okay. Okay, fantastic. As it states, today we'll be covering the fundamentals of government contracting. So today, if you are any small business owners who are looking to get into government contracting as an additional stream of revenue, or if you're curious about government contracting, we hope that today's presentation will be beneficial to you. So this is a roadmap of what we'll be covering today, the who we are as Apex Accelerator, some pre-launch considerations. So before you move into government contracting, there are some challenges and market research that we would want to cover with you, as it is a large time commitment to move into government contracting. We'll also cover SAM registrations, how to increase your competitiveness within the government marketplace, and we'll end with some resources that Apex Accelerator has for you. So who we are. Some of you may be more familiar with our previous name of PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Coming on about a year and a half ago, our program underwent a major change, and we moved from under the Defense Logistics Agency, the DLA, over to the Department of Defense. For the Utah Apex Accelerators, we are also under the Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. You can see our logo in the bottom corner there. We are fully funded by the state and federal agencies, so our services come at no cost to you. I will mention there are other Apexes across the United States and its territories. We'll get into that into the next slide. But again, I myself and Paula are just the Utah Apex Regional Managers. Okay, and our mission, the national mission, is to help bring businesses into the government industrial base. This extends to state, local, federal, regional contracts. So all levels of government contracts, Apex can assist you with. So here's the map for Utah. You can see how we're split up. There are 8 different regional managers across Utah. We stretch as far north as Logan with Troy McLean, all the way down to St. George with Joshua Wiggins. And then Paula, of course, she covers Salt Lake, and I'm covering Utah, Wasatch, and Juab counties. The Utah Apex is headquartered in downtown Salt Lake City. We're under Chuck Spence, our director. So for any of you who are watching from Utah, you can see your regional manager here, and you're always welcome to contact us and get registered as an Apex client. Apex services. So we do offer a lot of services under Apex, and again, these come at no cost to you. We do our best to ensure that all of our programs and resources come at no cost or as low cost as possible for our clientele. We offer one-on-one counseling where you can meet with your regional manager and go over next steps in contracting, come up with a plan, see how we can best assist you. We offer registration assistance, again, SAM, getting your UEI and your cage code. And I will note here, because I know we have a lot of you joining us from other states outside of Utah, today's focus will mostly be on federal government contracting. If you're interested in moving more into state and local contracts, I would recommend you reach out to your local Apex regional manager, because there are different websites and different rules and regulations that may apply for those of you outside of the state. Bid Match, I would love to touch on this a little bit more as well. Bid Match is a service that we offer that helps connect you with potential solicitations for your industry. We would work with you to create a profile that would include your NAICS codes, PSC codes, FSC codes, geographic restrictions, and any other keywords or industry terms you would like. And our bid match system goes through various procurement websites and sends you a curated list of potential opportunities for you. It's a huge time saver. It's a fantastic way to conduct market research and get to know your industry, as well as a way for you to familiarize yourself with the types of contracts that are common for your industry. Again, it's at no cost. We can set it up for you in one session. So if you're interested, please reach out to your regional manager. GSA assistance, we also assist with. This is a different type of contracting vehicle. We won't get into that too much today because, again, we're just covering the basics and fundamentals. Market research will assist you with conducting market research, how to use these websites, how to find contract data, how to answer those important industry questions that you would want to know to be as competitive as possible within the government marketplace. Capability statements, we can help you create and use your capability statements to help increase your visibility within the contracting space. So how to make those connections, how to use your capability statement to become more competitive within the sphere. And then, of course, proposal assistance. You found a solicitation. Now what? How do you answer the solicitation? What do these forms mean? What are the compliances or licenses to be aware of? Paula will be covering that next week, so I hope you will join us for that session. And then, of course, training and education. I'll touch up on Gavology for a little bit. We partner with Gavology. They have a whole platform of live webinars, recorded presentations. They have blog posts, they have podcast episodes, all sorts of fantastic information on government contracting. And we can provide you the client code to watch these at no cost. And they do keep you up to date on any changes with programs. They'll walk you through different registration steps. They'll cover how to use different marketing tools. It's very extensive, and there is a lot of valuable information in there. And then, of course, we have outreaches and networking and matchmaking events that we always encourage clients to attend. For the state of Utah as well, we also have an annual symposium that we host. We have ours coming up October 23rd, and the focus will be more on matchmaking. So getting you those 15 minutes one-on-one with prime industries or contracting officers to be able to make that connection and build your network. All of that out of the way, let's get into more general information about government contracting. The US government is the largest customer in the world. Every year, there are billions and billions of dollars spent by the federal government in all sorts of industries. So a lot of clients may be wondering, does the government buy what I sell? But the real question is knowing, how does the government buy what I sell? In what quantity? Who are the agencies to reach out to? Who are the people to make connections with in regards to potential government contracts? We have clients in just about every industry. Personally, I have clients all the way from construction to janitorial to very niche products and services. So whatever industry you're in, you can reach out to your regional manager and try to get a better idea of what the market looks like for your products or services. And then a lot of clients, I find they might be intimidated by moving into government contracting. It is a big step and there are a lot of competitors, but I want to assure you that there are systems set in place to help ensure that small businesses have a chance within the government contracting sphere. There are set-asides for small businesses, and if you are woman-owned, veteran-owned, located in a hub zone, or any other certification, those would also help you have a smaller pool of competition and make government contracting a little bit easier, or have a smaller pool of competition. I'll touch on the FAR briefly because this is something that will come up as you move forward in government contracting. The FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulations. You'll see in the picture, it appears to just be a textbook. It is much, much more than that. It could be 20, 30, 40 of these textbooks. And it works sort of as the Bible to government contractors. You'll find within the FAR all of the rules and regulations for just about every aspect of federal contracting. So this would extend to compliance issues, who is eligible for certifications, and much more. We don't expect you to be completely familiar with the FAR. I know I myself am not. It is just so expansive. But we do encourage you to know how to use the online FAR. The hyperlink in there will take you right to an online website where you can search and go through relevant sections of the FAR. So I do encourage you to be familiar with what the FAR is, how you can navigate within the FAR. And then as you go through contracts, you'll see that there are a lot of incorporated clauses through the FAR, and you would want to be familiar with those as they apply to you. So I have that section outlined there, Part 19, which covers small business programs. That's an example of something that you would want to check and just make sure that you're in compliance with. Okay, pre-launch considerations. How to determine if government contracting is the right market for you. I have a few bullet points on the side there. These aren't hard and fast rules. They're not any sort of requirements. But as you make this step, we do want to make sure that you're thinking about these considerations. So have you been in business for more than 2 years with sustained revenue? Contracting would be much harder for a startup company. We want to make sure that your business is in a state where you can commit the time and resources necessary to find contracts and gain the education necessary to succeed in government contracting. Do you have the financial resources to service and manage contracts? You would have to be familiar with how the pay schedule goes for certain contracts. It might not be a lump sum. You might not receive any payment until the end of services. So making sure that your company is able to go without revenue or able to have these small payments in between would be important. Do you have the technical capabilities the government needs? Have you conducted market research? Do you understand what the market needs look like and what agencies are procuring your services? And then do you have a proven track record? Do you have past performance? This doesn't necessarily have to be at the federal level, but perhaps if you built up some experience through the local and state contracts before moving to federal, this would help make that process a little easier for you. You'll see here that having a strong business foundation is key before you make this next step in government contracting. Again, it is a time commitment. A lot of clients will ask, how long before I get my first contract? And the answer is we really don't know. It depends on your industry. It depends on how much time you put into building up your network and responding to solicitations. It can be all sorts of different factors. Sometimes it takes 6 months. Sometimes it takes a year to get that first contract. But I will say what is key is having persistence. So making sure that you are continually responding to solicitations, continually trying to increase your education and knowledge within the government contracting sphere. All of that will help you to succeed. And then, of course, I have the SBDC as another resource here. That's the Small Business Development Center. For the state of Utah, at least, we have a station down in Orem, which is the counties that I cover, and some in Salt Lake as well. This is another free resource that we recommend to clients who might not be ready yet for government contracting, but are looking to perhaps work on other aspects of their business before making that step. So maybe if you want to work on creating a business plan, or you have some questions on management or marketing your business or how to get financial assistance, the SBDC would be a great resource for you. And we often refer clients there first in case they need any assistance. And then the pivotal question of who buys what I sell. This is something you want to get out of the way before you even start your SAM registration. You want to know what the market looks like. You want to know if your product or service has a place within government contracting and how to access that. Market research is key and something I encourage all my clients to be familiar with at all aspects and maturity of government contracting. So before you move forward, you want to conduct market research. Once you're eligible for federal and state contracts, you'll want to do market research to determine the agencies to contact. And all of this just helps you to create a network for contracting. So a little bit more on market research and how to know your industry. I've listed a few questions here that you would want to answer, be able to answer before you move forward. So you would want to know what are the NAICS codes to use. If you're not familiar with NAICS codes, these are the North American Industry Classification System codes. NAICS codes are essentially a way for the government to classify an industry. So if you're in construction, that would be one 6-digit number. If you're in janitorial, that would be a different 6-digit number. It's a way to sort of make the process easier and differentiate between different contracts. You'd also want to know who are the agencies that buy what I sell. So is your service or product most commonly procured by the Department of the Army or the Department of the Navy or FEMA or any sort of government agency? This will help you determine who you need to be doing matchmaking events with, what small business offices to reach out to, and how to build your network within contracting. Geographic hotspots for your products. You'd want to be able to know if the state you're in is the best place for your company. How much is being spent within the state of Utah versus the state of Wyoming? So this helps determine if you should expand your business to other states or what to expect within your own state. And then top contractors, top opportunities, all of this will help inform you better as you continue on. I have some bullet points here about how contract data can help identify the market needs, the market size, as well as competition. And the key with market research is establishing and maintaining competitiveness. I did mention that there are set-asides within government contracting that can help you get a foot in the door as far as winning solicitations. But I'll mention that having market research it's a powerful tool to help you to better position you in government contracting. So knowing the agencies, knowing how much is being spent and where it's being spent, all of this makes you that much more competitive and that much more likely to land those first, second, and third solicitations. So here I have a clip from USA Spending. If you're not familiar with USA Spending, it is a database for contract data, completely free to use. All of this is public knowledge, and there is so much information within USA Spending that you can gain about your industry. So you'll see from this clip, it might be a little small, but you can check specific contract awards. You can check the recipient. You can learn all about what categories that your search is being procured in. So here I have some filters. If you can see my mouse circling them. You can search by keywords. So if you were in construction, you could have that in here. You can search by time period. So what's been trending over the last few years. And over here, we can see exactly a map of geographic location. So how much is being spent in each state. For the category section, you can see exactly which agencies are spending how much using those filters. And you can even go you can go further with that and see the sub-agencies that are being spent in these categories. So not just how much the Department of Defense spent in construction, but you can also see how much the Department of the Army, Department of the Navy spent within those categories. And there are a few other contract data websites you can use. You can use FPDS, the Federal Procurement Database Center. But I personally prefer USA Spending. Okay, so step 1, registering in SAM. SAM is required for federal government contracts, and I make that distinction because on a state level, you may not need to be registered in SAM. Depending on your state, there may be other registrations you'll have to complete, but SAM, as a general rule, this is for federal government contracts. From this clip, you'll see that there are 3 options within a SAM registration. You can register under UEI only, financial assistance only, or all awards. For all of you who are looking to do government contracting, you'll need to make sure to select all awards. And you can see there that this requires the highest level of effort, but you also get the most distinctions. With this all awards registration, you'll be assigned a UEI, a unique entity identifier, as well as a CAGE code, a commercial and government entity code. And these are both ways for the government to identify your company. You'll see here, you'll go through what is called an entity validation. So as you're preparing to register in SAM, you'll need to be able to prove your legal business name, a physical address, as well as your state of incorporation and the year of incorporation. So you can do this by submitting documents such as your articles of incorporation. You could do a search on the Secretary of State and screenshot that. You could have anything such as a bank statement or utility bill, anything that would show this information to identify that your company is unique and existing. That's the key part with the SAM registration, is making sure that you're eligible for these contracts and proving your entity exists. There are a lot of FAQ pages and document guides on SAM. You can access SAM just at sam.gov, and it's free to register. With those FAQ pages, there is a lot of information there that can help you gather the documents you need. Although it can be a little bit difficult to navigate SAM, about a year ago, they underwent a very large change. They restructured the whole program, they updated the website, so there are still occasional glitches and bugs. But in that case, I would just urge you to reach out to your regional manager. We troubleshoot SAM all the time, so feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to help. Okay, this is also with SAM. You'll see in your workspace, there are different bubbles in that corner there for active registration, ID assigned, inactive registration, pending ID assignment. You want to make sure that you're always in active registration. That's the only bubble there that would let you be able to qualify for federal contracts. So you need to maintain your active status. You would do this by making sure you annually update your SAM registration. Minimum, you want to update this annually. If you have a large company change, if you change your name, you change your address, you change point of contacts, you can update it sooner. But at a minimum, we want to make sure that you're going into the system, updating your information at least once a year. You'll also see here that you will have to select a primary NAICS code. So again, if you're not familiar with NAICS, this is a way to classify the industry that your company is in. You'll want to have a primary, but you can add secondary NAICS codes, as many as you would like. DSBS is the Dynamic Small Business Search. Towards the end of your SAM registration, you'll have the option to make your profile public. I always encourage clients to make sure that they go public on DSBS, because this is how a lot of contracting officers can find your company, as well as other agencies who are looking to do business with small businesses. They might use DSBS to better understand the market. It is a form of market research, but I've seen contracting officers who use DSBS perhaps to curate a list of what are the potential companies that can perform on a solicitation. And they might even reach out to you directly. So it's always good to have an updated DSBS profile, and I'll talk about it a little bit more on the next slide, or in a couple of slides. All right, how to find a solicitation. So sam.gov has a contract opportunities page where you can find federal contracts. Generally, these are going to be anything over $25,000. You can find a lot of large contracts there as well as smaller contracts, again, depending on what stage you're in and what contract size you want to pursue. U3P is specific to Utah. This is the Utah Public Procurement Place. This is where you would find state and local opportunities if you are planning to conduct business within the state of Utah. I'll make a note for my Utah clients that we are moving from U3P to a new website called Bonfire. That change will be coming over the next few months, but If you're not in Utah, there might be other registrations or state websites for you to look into instead. The Apex bid match system. This is one of the services I touched on earlier in the presentation. But again, it's a fantastic way for you to find what opportunities are available for your company. You can see that curated list every single day, and it's updated regularly. So you'll see exactly what new opportunities are coming down the pipeline, and you'll have a better sense of what agencies are putting these out, and perhaps even what month there's more opportunities open to you so you can better prepare. I also list here forecasted opportunities. This is another great way to get an edge in responding to solicitations. There's often a saying that if you're waiting until a solicitation pops up on SAM, you're already too late. That can be true. We do want to make sure our clients have the most amount of time to prepare for solicitations. So if you're able to anticipate these before they come out, that just gives you more time to prepare and submit a stronger proposal. So that's another great way to make yourself more competitive. Acquisition.gov is a fantastic website I list here. You can even see forecasted opportunities within acquisition.gov for certain government agencies. So I believe under the Department of Agriculture, they have an Excel sheet where you can see what quarter they expect to spend X amount of dollars in X industries. So this again is just another way for you to conduct market research and see what opportunities are coming down the pipeline. I also list here that it's important to familiarize yourself with various solicitation documents or requirements. I have posted here just a quick picture of an SF33 form, a standard form 33. This is pretty common in a lot of service contracts, so you'll want to be familiar with what these forms look like, how to accurately fill them out, and even if you're not ready yet to submit a solicitation, I encourage you to still be more familiar with these forms so that when you do see a solicitation you'd like to pursue, you're able to accurately and efficiently complete these documents. And again, if you're not sure how, you can always reach out to your regional manager at Apex and we can help you walk through the process. Increasing your competitiveness. It's always important to try to get an edge in the government industry and to differentiate yourself with all of the other small businesses. So here I have a capability statement as an example. This works almost as a resume for your company. It is a way for you to market your business to prime agencies, to government contractors, to any person you would like to do business with as a subcontractor or a prime. It's a fantastic way to increase your visibility within the government marketing sphere. You can see here it's generally about 1 page, and you'll want to include information such as your core competencies, past performance, differentiators, company data, and contact information. We can help you create these, but I'd also encourage you to take these to matchmaking events or networking events or site visits. This is just another great way to market your company and build again that network for solicitations. I also list here federal certifications. So you'll see that small businesses have a 23% set aside. What that means is that on the federal level, the federal government has set aside 23% of all procurement dollars for small businesses. You might wonder what qualifies as a small business, and that ties back to your SAM registration. You'll see what's called an SBA table of size standards when you're completing your registration. And what that is the SBA, the Small Business Administration, has a chart where they determine, based on your primary NAICS code, if you qualify as a small business, either based on the number of employees you have or the annual revenue that you generate. So for someone, an example, in a janitorial industry, I believe it's about $42 million a year annually that you would have to be under in order to qualify as a small business. There is no official certification. I want to make that clear. A lot of clients might receive emails from other companies that claim they can get you an official certificate. There is no official certificate. You're either a small business or you're not, and it's just a self-certification. If you're a woman-owned small business, this is an official certificate. There is also economically disadvantaged women-owned small business certifications, and there is a 5% set aside for those groups. If you're a veteran-owned small business or service-disabled veteran-owned small business, that would be 3%, and a small disadvantaged business would be at 5%. There's also Hub Zone. If you're located in a historically underutilized business zone, I believe that's at 3% as well. So there are a lot of different set-aside opportunities that are available to you. And I would encourage you to see if you qualify and walk through that registration process with your Apex Accelerator Regional Manager. I have a small note. That program is paused, all of these federal certifications, starting August 1st. They're undergoing a large system update. They're changing the websites and changing the portal where you register. But that should be done in another month or two, so perhaps September, October. But they do have updates on the SBA website if you want to follow along. And then I also have listed here training opportunities to get that competitiveness again. Gavology, as I mentioned, is a great resource for you to attend all sorts of webinars and educational training opportunities to learn more about specific contracting information. So I know we have all sorts of live webinars coming up. There's topics such as how to respond to a white paper, how to create your capability statements, how to register for a GSA schedule, all sorts of different themes and all sorts of different information that you can find there. Okay, DSBS, we've circled back to the dynamic small business system. It's a great way for you to conduct market research. You can find your competitors' profiles, and they'll have all the information there, such as their primary NAICS codes. They'll have a list of their past performance. They'll have certifications listed. So for you small businesses just starting out, you can always look at other profiles and see if maybe that's a good model for your own company. So if you're not sure what NAICS code to use, find a company that's in a similar sphere and see what ones they used. If you're curious about past performance, you can find someone who's situated in your same state, has the similar experience, similar industry, and you can even see what agencies they've worked with in the past. And that can help direct you again with what agencies you should be working to network with and contact. You want to make sure you're as searchable as possible for contracting officers to find you. You would have to update your profile regularly. If you have capability statements, you can put that in there. You can put in all sorts of information about your company so that you're searchable when contracting officers are conducting their market research and trying to find construction companies in the state of Arizona who are women-owned. So another great way for you to increase your visibility within government contracting. So step 3, establishing connections. This is arguably one of the most important steps. I'm sure you've heard me say multiple times, building your network, building your network. And that's because it is such a crucial aspect of government contracting. You really want to make sure that you're, again, building a network of people, of contracting officers, of agencies, of small business offices that are in your sphere, because ultimately this is what gives you the edge in government contracting. Having an idea of what solicitations are coming down the pipeline, knowing who the people within the industry are. If you're looking to be a subcontractor, having an idea of what prime contractors exist and who you want to work with. All of that serves to better position you to win your first contract or your second or your third contract. You'll see here that under subcontracting opportunities, I've listed all sorts of ways for you to make those connections with prime contractors. There's IVL lists on SAM. This is an interested vendor list. It's essentially on any open solicitation, a contracting officer has the option to post an IVL where prime and subcontractors alike can list their name and contact information. And it makes it public to show that you're interested in the solicitation. And if you're looking to find a prime contractor, you can search up who's interested in this solicitation you'd like to bid on and potentially reach out to them, including with your capability statement. Just another way for you to make those connections. There's a lot of site visits with solicitation opportunities. You can always bring a capability statement to a site visit and network in person with other companies who are interested in bidding on this solicitation. There's the SBA subnet, another way for you to find subcontractors or prime contractors. And then of course, if you just want to network in general, I would encourage you to attend industry days or vendor fairs. And to plug our APEX symposium once more, we also offer matchmaking at this upcoming one in October, where you can again spend 15 minutes one-on-one with a prime contractor or a government agency that you'd like to work with. So there's all sorts of ways for you to build that network, and it will ultimately be such a crucial step in you succeeding in government contracting. And one of the final steps would be submitting and winning contracts. There's all sorts of different types of contracts. You'll see I've listed here sources sought, request for proposals, request for quotes, invitation for bids. And we, again, at Apex, we offer solicitation assistance. Paulo will be covering this next week, so I won't go into too much detail, but I do hope that some of you will join us next week to learn the ins and outs of how to respond successfully to a government solicitation. I do want to note a few of our upcoming Apex trainings. So I mentioned Gavology multiple times, and you can see here that these are all of the July live webinars. These are taught by contracting experts or contracting lawyers or all sorts of experienced personnel. If any of these upcoming ones interest you, again, reach out to us at Apex. We'll give you the client code and you can attend these at no cost. Without Apex, these courses can go anywhere from $50 to $200, but there's no need to spend that because again, at Apex, we want you to have this education and to be able to learn as much as you can about the industry. And then some more Utah Apex events is an Intro to DIBS training coming up on July 16th, our October 23rd matchmaking event. And then of course, this SCORE webinar series that we're so happy to be involved in. I have the link here on how to register to become a client for the Utah Apex. But for those of you outside of the state of Utah, I do have this link that will take you to the APTAC website on where you can find your Apex regional manager. There are, again, 98 other Apexes across the US and its territories. There's over 300 offices located. So I'm sure wherever you are, there is an Apex regional manager close to you who would be happy to meet with you and help you with some of those next steps. And these slides will be made available to all of you. So some of those hyperlinks in there you can use to learn all about market research or Gavology or access that APTAC calendar. And that being said, again, my name is Sarah Ortiz. I'm the regional manager in Utah for Utah, Wasatch, and Geauga counties. So if you're located in that area, please reach out to me. That's my email address right there, and I'm happy to meet with you. And I think with that being said, we're ready to open it up for some questions.
Hello, everybody. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll get them answered. In the meantime, please check out the upcoming webinars. As Sarah said, I popped in the chat the upcoming event for July 18th, the second piece in this series. And then the final one is July 25th, and I will pop that in the chat as well. Michelle Corbin has asked, what industries are a best fit for this? We are education.
Hi, Michelle. There is a lot of opportunities within the education sector. I would encourage you to find what NAICS code best fits you, and then you can conduct some market research and see exactly how much is being spent in your specific industry. But I can already assure you, I have clients who teach educational training courses, some of them who do boot camps, all sorts of different educational industries, and they found success within government contracting.
There's also a question from Melissa Singleton. The site you provided will provide us with our market analysis research for our NAICS code.
If you're referring to the USA spending for market research, they have all sorts of filters that you can use that will give you that market research analysis that you're referring to. So if, for example, you were in the education industry, you would put in the NAICS code in USA spending, and it would populate all the information regarding what locations procure under education NAICS code. You would see what agencies and sub-agencies are procuring under that NAICS, as well as spending over time, geographic area, all sorts of information. So yes, USA spending is a great way to do that market analysis.
Okay, David Connell asks, do you have a similar office in Arizona?
Yes, I can go back a page. And this is the web link on how to find your local apex. There's again, there's 98 apexes across the US. There's certainly one in Arizona where you can reach out to and sign up to be a client and meet with the regional manager.
All right, Antonio Washington, is there a way to transition already established business into contracting and registered in SAM.gov?
Yes, certainly. We encourage you to be an established business before moving forward with government contracting. So if you remember from some of those beginning slides on pre-launch considerations, if you're an established business, you have revenue streams that are coming in, if you have the time and commitment for government contracting, we encourage you to sign up in SAM. It's no cost. It takes about a week or two to process, and you would then be eligible for these federal contracts and able to bid.
Bonnie Roosh has asked, I have multiple unrelated. Do we need to be niched to industry? I have multiple.
I'm not sure I completely understand the question. Do you have multiple businesses that you're wondering how to move into government contracting? If that's the question, then you don't necessarily have to have a specific industry. We do encourage you to be more focused because that would make it easier for you to find success. A lot of contracting officers want to see clients who specialize in one industry as opposed to specializing in 5 or 6 different industries, just because it makes it clear to them that this is your main focus. This is where you have the most licenses and registrations is in one industry. So I would encourage you to maybe do some research, see which of your different businesses are best suited for government contracting, and then move forward from there.
Johan Smith said there are quite a few questions in the webinar chat as well. Thank you for that. I'll get to that. Is there a reputable website for searching for NAICS codes, Joel Harris? Or is this a reputable website, www.naics.com?
I wouldn't be sure based on just the hyperlink, but I can tell you that the census NAICS, if you want to Google that, it's probably the easiest way for you to find your NAICS. It's searchable by keyword, so you could type in construction or janitorial or mechanics, and it would give you the list of applicable NAICS. So that's probably the best way I'd recommend.
Okay. Kamar Sago has asked, will the established business have to be related to the contract I'm interested?
So did you find a solicitation that is outside of your scope? Without more information, I would say that it's recommended for you to respond to solicitations that are within your niche. You would want to make sure that your primary NAICS code is related as well. And in your capability statement or any marketing materials, again, you would want to boast the specific NAICS code for your company. Because again, contracting officers just want to see that you have a specialty and a focus in one industry as opposed to an unrelated one.
Okay. Jennifer Sorensen, can you display or post up the list of regional managers and associated territories again, please?
Yes, I can. These are only for the state of Utah though, but here is that list. Up here in Logan would be Troy McLean, and as you move down that list, the regional managers move further south. Otherwise, this hyperlink that I previously showed, that would take you to where to find other states' apexes.
Okay. Are those outside Utah turned away from your apex?
They're not necessarily turned away, but we would encourage only Utah clients to reach out to us because we're only experienced on the state and local level with Utah regulations. So if you're situated in Arizona, I wouldn't be personally familiar with Arizona procurement websites or compliance issues, or we wouldn't be able to meet in person. So you're still welcome to reach out to us, but just be aware of those limitations.
Okay, question from Yuritsi. What is the difference between the U3P procurement website and SAM for contracts?
U3P is the Utah Public Procurement Place. This is where you would find Utah-specific state and local contracts. SAM is a federal database, so you would find federal contracts. Also, they would be larger contracts, so you would see anything over $25,000 listed on SAM, but they would be through federal agencies, so you wouldn't be limited just to the state of Utah as you would with U3P.
Okay. How many years of professional business experience are needed for government contracting?
There's no hard and fast rule. As a general rule of thumb, we would like to see maybe 1 to 2 years, but that is just to ensure that your business has the experience necessary to commit the time necessary for government contracting. So if you're a startup, I'm sure you would have much more on your plate, and it would be harder for you to have that successful business and be committing time to government contracting. But there is no requirement.
A previous employee of our company signed up on the SAM website. Unfortunately, they input some bad information. How do I get the account deleted? My goal would be to start fresh. Thanks in advance.
Yeah, it would be easier for you to update the profile than to delete it. If it's still active, you could go in and update and change that information. If you do create another SAM registration, it could cause more problems because during the entity validation stage, they'll be trying to match the information you put with existing companies. So if you have a company with your same name but incorrect information, it would try to merge the two of you, and it doesn't sound like that's the case. So I would instead encourage you to just update your information, work with your regional manager to access the account, and then you would be active once again.
Okay. Hi, we sell toys, scooters, and hobbies for children. How would we sell our items to the government?
That's a pretty broad question. We would want to work with you to see on what level you sell these toys or scooters. You could potentially look at getting onto a GSA schedule for commodities such as that. Or you could even you would most likely have to do market research for these more niche industries. For something like that, off the top of my head, I don't know what agency would be procuring them, but I would encourage you to try to do some research on USA spending and see perhaps what agencies are procuring this, or potentially look into GSA schedules if that's something that they're selling.
Miriam Salcedo is asking what legal structures are recommended to be for government contracting, LLCs, corporations?
Any of those would work. I don't know that one is better than the other. The only times that Apex managers really deal with the different business structures is with your SAM registration. It would change what documentation you would need to submit, or if you pursue federal certifications, that would also have different requirements for documentation depending on that business structure. But if you are having issues with changing perhaps from an LLC to a corporation, I would refer you to the SBDC. They really are the experts with some of these business questions as opposed to contracting specific.
Or SCORE.
Or SCORE, yes.
Bonnie Roosh has asked, is it possible to present to the government with a new training I teach if they do not already have a request for it?
It is possible. Again, that's why we encourage networking so much, because a lot of the times you might have a solution to a problem that the government hasn't even yet recognized. But if you're able to get that face time with a contracting officer, or you have that community built in, you could always be there to pitch your capabilities and pitch perhaps this new service that you have. So it is a possibility.
Okay. Is there a specific or standard template to use when writing proposals?
I wish there was. We get this question so much. Proposals are specific to the government agency, whether that be on a local, state, or federal level. But within the solicitation, they will be very specific in how they want you to respond. So some of them might only want to see pricing. Some of them might want to see a whole 12-page proposal 12 points Times New Roman font with a cover page. And I'm being that specific because you will see that in solicitations, very specific requirements. But you'll know exactly what's being asked of you and in what format. And you'll want to make sure you follow those specifications exactly, because contracting officers can throw out solicitations or proposals for any reason. So if they're seeing that you're not abiding by these font rules or what size font, they could just throw out your solicitation. So
How does someone with only one employee, myself, compete with established small businesses? She's just starting out. This is Alice Stevens.
yeah, it can definitely be difficult getting your foot in the door. Something I always recommend to clients who are brand new to contracting is starting small. So maybe before you pursue these $25,000 and up federal contracts, maybe you want to look at your local government and see what does the county or the state, what are they looking for within your services, and try to start by building your network there. Or if you want to look into subcontracting, that's another way for you to work on a part of a contract, but still get the experience, networking, and all of this past performance for your business.
From Darnell Beck, for those newly entering the market where grabbing a government contract may not be in the cards yet, is it feasible to pursue subcontract opportunities with prime contractors, or would it be equally difficult?
So you're looking to subcontract with prime contractors. You would still need to, I'm assuming on the federal level, you would still want to be registered in SAM. Prime contractors, they still need to report the subs that they're working with. You might not need to be registered as in depth as other clients who are looking to be prime contractors are, but you would still need to have some registration level. And as far as difficulty level, it's really hard to say. Subcontracting generally would be easier than being a prime contractor. But depending on the contract size, depending on your industry, depending on your experience, it may be more or less difficult.
Okay. Beth Ann Sivola, have you seen nonprofits getting government contracts?
You would have to be a for-profit business, at least on the federal level, and I believe on state and local.
Okay. Joel Harris asks, I have experience as a government contractor employee with a national company. Would this work experience count as past performance?
So I'm assuming you were an employee for a successful business that conducted government contracting. You could always list in your capability statement that you've performed on previous contracts, but you would want to share that it wasn't your company that performed on these contracts. You would share that you were an employee for a different company. It would be important to make that distinction because you wouldn't want to misrepresent your company's experience. But I do want to note that having no past performance isn't necessarily seen as a negative by contracting officers. It's very much seen as neutral, but having that past performance, that is a very big plus. So don't be too concerned if you have no past performance. Try to get it as it comes.
Hey, Tayo Olayenka asks, what do you recommend for a new business without a history to get government contracting?
Yeah, generally, I would recommend you follow the steps outlined in the PowerPoint. So maybe go through some of those pre-launch considerations, try to determine if contracting is a good next step. Work with your Apex regional manager to determine what registrations are necessary, either at the local, state, or federal level. And from there, it's just about getting educated in government contracting, whether that be through Gavology or training events, and then just having the persistence necessary to continue learning, continue submitting solicitations, and building your network for success.
And Perry Charles asks, for janitorial supplies, what is the best method to access the opportunities before they are posted? You had mentioned a website, or do we need to fill out a form to be notified?
Yeah, there's a lot of great ways to get access to these forecasted opportunities mentioned. Acquisition.gov is one way. That would be the website I'd recommend. On acquisition.gov, you can go specifically by agency. So this is why market research is so important. You would want to know what agencies are procuring your services. You could then look them up on acquisition.gov. So who's procuring janitorial services? And then some of them will list exactly forecasted opportunities where they'll have an Excel sheet or a Word document where they'll predict how much they plan to spend and in what industry in which quarter of the year. So you might see they have a $10 million contract coming out in January of 2025 for janitorial services. And that could be found on acquisition.gov. And then you could start preparing now and see what licenses or compliance issues should I be aware of so that when the solicitation comes out, I'm able to perform and submit a competitive bid.
Does the government purchase podcasting or content creation services?
Podcasting, I don't have any clients in that field, but try looking on NAICS, see if they have anything like that. Although NAICS isn't the end all be all, NAICS often takes too long to update. So we have new industries coming in all the time that NAICS doesn't represent. But that's definitely a specific niche. I unfortunately don't know off the top of my head, but with some market research, you could definitely find the answer to it.
Okay, actually two questions about capability statements. Latoya Williams asks, are there resources for help with writing a capability statement?
Yes, definitely. There are resources on Gavology that I mentioned earlier. Fantastic way for you to learn how to create and how to use a capability statement. Your Apex regional manager, we're always happy to help. Almost every week I get capability statements that I'll review and send notes back to help strengthen it. And then online, you can always look for capability statement assistance, and there's plenty of documents and materials from various federal websites to help you create one.
And James Reifenberger asks, if you have no previous government contractor experience, what would you enter in your capability statement?
So if you have no experience in government contracting, you most likely wouldn't have a section for past performance, but there is a lot of other sections to your capability statements. Let me go back to the page here, but you'll see that you would include core competencies. So you would want to describe what your company does. You could have differentiators. So perhaps if you're a small business, or if you're woman-owned or minority-owned or veteran-owned, you could list that here. You'd want to have any awards or certifications or licenses as well. You would have your company data, your UEI, your CAGE code, your NAICS code. You can still include plenty of information outside of your past performance.
Okay, Perry Charles asks, for janitorial supplies, are we able to contact purchasing departments at government agencies, branches, and buildings directly without a solicitation to offer them our products?
That gets a little bit tricky, and this sounds like it would be more on the local and state side of government contracting. At least for federal, there are sole sources that are available. So there are contracting officers who award clients without having a public solicitation, but those are limited in that they can't be anything more than, I believe the micro purchase threshold is 10,000. So it's possible, but I would work with the regional manager again for your specific situation and see how you might go about contacting contracting officers with your services.
Okay, and we're at the top of the hour, so one last question from David Arnold. As a startup, my business develops and utilizes AI machine learning models, and I have found that there are grant solicitations on SAM. I have already developed prototypes and completed the white paper. With AI being somewhat new for the government, are these research grants that I have found only geared towards colleges, or is it still worth submitting if I already developed specific use cases that the contract was looking to research?
That's a tricky question. I'll first note that Apex, we aren't grant experts, unfortunately. Generally, we don't assist with grant opportunities. We do have some resources available, but by no means are we grant experts. However, as far as white papers, this is something new that we've had a focus on as they become more popular. They aren't geared necessarily only towards colleges, I believe you said. There are all sorts of white papers out there. If you want to reach out to me, we just had a presentation on white papers that might help give you more background, but unfortunately, I'm not yet an expert and I don't want to give any bad advice on that.
Okay, lastly, Paula Kramer from Apex had put in the chat. So in case you haven't seen it, Advanced Procurement Briefing Industries outreach events are a great way to get ahead of the train. Apex has these frequently either in person or virtually. So with that, I think we are done for the day. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Gail. Yeah, thank you all for being here. There's some great questions that you've asked. We'll see you next week, July 18th, same bat time, same bat station.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your days.